Here we go.
Okay. This morning, October 7th, 2014, in Portland, Oregon, Joe Walsh was present at his own hearing to appeal in front of GF, who is the hearings officer,
Gregory Frank.
acting in the position, the role of Gregory Frank was acting as a hearings officer. It's similar like a judge over Joe Walsh's hearing. At this hearing, Joe Walsh was allowed to discuss the exhibits by which he was banned from City Hall. The issue is he's banned from City Hall for 1 month. He was appealing it on today, October 7th, in Portland, 1900 Southwest 4th, as I said, I believe 4th Portland building. So you see where you're at, and in the end, we need to ask the mayor and Amanda Fritz why they wouldn't want him as a citizen to watch the City Hall's meetings. That's a part of it, and the next bullet point will rely on guidance from Mary Ng.
Okay, so here's my analysis. On the consent agenda, if you have...
Say the dates again, because people might take snips.
Okay, one thing is we've got a 30-day exclusion, and this is going to go on for 3 months. So the hearing process is already not expedient to the purpose of relieving
it's
the
beyond
artificial retaliatory gagging and exiling and blacklisting of a noteworthy activist who has honorable campaign after campaign. But the...
barred from City Hall. He's trespassed off of City Hall.
He was
state language. We call it
his
trespass.
3-minute speaking time was consolidated on 3 items into 3 minutes total. So 9 minutes were condensed to 3 minutes by Nick Fish. Lone Vet did not consent. He said, well, we'll see how this goes. Lone Vet was willing to possibly negotiate away his time. Then he was interrupted by Miss Fritz, who tried to be helpful. She tried to elucidate some points. Then Nick Fish decided to have his 2 minutes of elucidation. And then the mayor decided to get nasty. Meanwhile, Amanda looked like she was sitting on her hands. Nick Fish's jaw dropped because even Nick Fish has a more polite demeanor than the mayor. And the mayor went full force, told Joe Walsh to stand down, and we are going to have this individual removed. Joe Walsh, probably thinking he could negotiate, knew it was his right to speak, that his speaking time had been incredibly intruded upon.
This is all about protocol at City Hall meetings in Portland, Oregon.
Which
City Hall
the mayor
protocol.
has been noted as...
Some may call it his Robert's Rules of Order. You may hear a lot of other comments. Subpoena and the mayor, we're quite proud that we need to ask him, why are you banning people from watching your meeting? The thing is, go back to Mary, because I'll remember in a minute.
So I watched the footage, made a bootleg from the Portland online website, getting the footage. The date was, I think, September 10th?
Of the actual event. May I make
the day before September 11th. Go ahead.
Oh, yes. In the hearing for Lone Vet, there is already a confusion that has been embedded within the hearing discourse. The banning of Lone Vet is based on one event.
One event.
They mentioned the event. They're trying to be focused. This is good.
Brian
I admire the focus.
writes the letter, gunny sacking Lone Vet.
They're saying Inga. They're saying Inga. They're saying Ing. They're saying
but that's incorrect.
It must be I-N-G-E. He's a key player in this.
Inga. We'll just say Inga.
Has to be the hand carry of subpoenas to the mayor, and it's kind of funny.
Enja.
Sorry.
He likes Enja.
Sorry. It's funny.
He likes Enja. Well, anyway,
the events. It's not
he's
one
sort
event.
of the quasi-prosecutor of this fictitious proceeding, which is a retaliatory act against Joe Walsh
by the city of Portland
for the recall campaign, and I think it's allowed the mayor's true colors to shine, his lack of decorum. What I brought up is that Joe Walsh should be lauded, and a more polite mayor could say, Joe Walsh, I celebrate your participation. I don't always agree with you, but I support your free speech.
And make a pan. Joe Walsh is being blocked away from City Hall, blacklisted. And what Joe Walsh says to the City Hall is, you should please help the poor and humiliated of your city. Yeah. And that's why they don't want it, because they don't want to help the poor and humiliated of our city. They would rather have cronyism within. I know I'm being quite generalized about this, but may I say that the event that Joe Walsh was banned from City Hall regarding, that happened so-called on September 10th, that was not what was reflected in the letter that banned him. He was given a 2-page letter from the City Hall which conflated various other sensibilities which he had irritated of City Hall, other things he had said, but in the hearing is a confusion. They're speaking of one event, but the letter, which I'm calling their charging instrument for their hearing, which is like a court against Joe, which he was appealing today on October 7th today, 2014, Portland. The letter mentions several other days, several other meetings, and his behavior, including someone who would have been afraid of our citizen activists who we respect. And we need him to be inside of City Hall, watching, as I would say in my dialect, watching their asses. I'm sorry, we need to watch their asses.
Well, and
he was watching them for us, and they don't want to be watched. And they changed the meeting, and there's 3 events possibly in the letter. Why are they not being discussed? Why was this whole situation of Joe Walsh himself, although it should have been about one behavior, which we're trying to correct for the behavior, not his viewpoint and his position as his views on certain issues, the issues crept their way into the letter. But the letter is trying to be a focused item, and it's not focused.
Okay, and they also threatened...
The letter is falsely being connected with one event. The letter includes 3 events, but the hearing is about one event, and they're hiding the other events. They are hiding. GF, I'm going to put your name on it, even though you don't realize it. You are
Gregory Frank.
Gregory Frank, you are hiding the other events which City Hall wrote into the letter. Because
by claiming you've never seen the letter and you don't know what this is about.
There's not one event. It's a false word. The letter, the cause of this, the trespassing instrument, we call it being trespassed. When you're a homie and they kick you out, you call it I was trespassed. Or else you got a bar. Okay, when you get out of a shelter, it's called a bar, or else you're banned, you're blacklisted. His was called, you can't go in anymore. I don't know what you call it. It's called hiding their
exiled, blacklisted, exclusion.
Exclusion is another synonym. These are all synonyms. The homies don't want to follow all of them. I call it being trespassed. That's what they call when you're a certain level. They just say you're trespassed. That means get the hell out and don't come back. And when the time's over, you'll be scared anyhow.
And they're threatening with police, and they're threatening an even longer exile if he should be a chronic offender.
Yeah.
If he dares try to come back, then they will sentence him to an even longer exclusion.
Let's mention the other events which hurt the feelings of the City Hall, and I've experienced this myself at other similar I'm calling it sensibilities. It's moods, and people's feathers are ruffled because the truth is being exposed, and it's not comfortable for the City Hall, Portland, Oregon. Pan over to the Portland, Oregon. City Hall over there. The other 2 events included one part was throwing a constitutional booklet at the panelists up front, which are citizens like us, but claiming they're God's holy gift to the citizens at large, stealing our property taxes. G threw this. This was part of the crime in the letter, but the hearing is not able to focus on this because the hearing is changing the letter, even from their own 2 documents. The city is issuing all of this, okay? This is all the city. Portland City.
Would you call this...
It's called the city of Portland. They issue the letter saying, Joe, you can't come in here because of X, Y, Z. Then the hearing conveniently drops out the X and Y and only goes with Z, calling Z the event. These will be dated for you in the future in our exhibitions. Interestingly, we're not even giving you why we became interested further in this because of the different opinions that are
What about
exhibiting.
the Barbara Streisand effect or the notion of a malicious prosecution? Is this a malicious prosecution just to exert a drain on Loanbad's time, to sequester him to a distant office, interrogate him, implicate him, waste his time?
Oh, by the way, did we tell you how many thousands of millions of dollars literally have been approved in Joe's absence because he wasn't there to be a watchdog? I witnessed them approving rubber stamping as their only role, and that's fine because I'm glad they're there quietly having a civilized discourse. Lies is okay. At least it's quiet. I'm sorry.
Polite lies.
Polite lies. But they changed the meeting.
Speak of the devil.
Who's that?
The mayor.
Hi, Mayor. Hi. We're going to subpoena you for lying and being mean to us. Did you get your papers yet? You're being subpoenaed. Sorry.
Make my day.
Sorry. You're being subpoenaed, Mr. Mayor Charlie Hales. Subpoenaed. Hales. It's not for corruption, but it makes it look that way.
He just walked into our movie. So the Barbara Streisand effect is that when you try to suppress someone and censor someone, the censorship goes viral, and
so he knows.
I can't believe that just happened.
Answering to us. He knows it.
He knows. Yeah.
Oh, also, guess what? During the hearing,
he said, "Make my day."
It was an 8:30 hearing, and I'm sorry that I never finished telling you that when I went in, I feel it's trying to cut citizens from observing their city at work by using so-called rules of order, a certain protocol of having sharing time to speak. It became confused, and it could have been resolved in a different way than banning Joe. But what I want to say is somehow, I'm taking a conspiracy viewpoint, I went to watch the meeting as being it 9:30 forever and ever, and suddenly it's been backed up to 8:30, and I missed it. So I feel that was a way to keep me as a citizen out of the discourse.
Exclusion. Is that going to be a permanent, ongoing thing, or was that just a temporary
I think keeping
thing?
us all not knowing when the meeting is literally hiding.
Show up
City
at
Hall.
8:30 just in case they switch around the timing from now on.
They're blocking us from observing them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's a broken record.
Yeah, and
It's
for
happened to me.
the first time the mayor met me, he said, "Oh, it takes all kinds," about these filthy activists that were talking to him. It takes all kinds, which was pejorative.
And they should look at their statistics, because there's a whole bunch of people wasting our tax dollars tracking of how much public opinion goes into these meetings. They get a report every month, and they waste money doing it.
And he tried to
so
gag
he needs
me
to count
and
up his report because he didn't get the tick marks from us going in.
And he pulled me off the side when I was doing what Joe was doing, which was speaking on item after item after item. He tried to remove my speaking time before, and I then went to the city attorney, and then Miss Fritz
took the hearing. But as you see, many other issues are involving our.
But this is a repeat. He's a repeat offender. He has done this to multiple activists, and that's where this Joe Walsh thing makes it kind of interesting.
It's a pattern.
And the pronounced chilling effect on the democracy is that I don't want to even get involved with him because I'm tired of his
I am literally afraid to go in City Hall because of the behavior of
his abusive domination of the discourse.
I'm afraid to go in City Hall. I really am. Because
we're threatened with security. That man towered over you today. You're threatened with.
I've been towered over many times.
Numerous.
For having physical. Yeah, it's a pattern.